Good morning, everybody. August 1st, I have no clue where this summer has gone, but everybody does know that I went to Oaxaca and I'm in love with Oaxaca. And after I went, I found out that a quote, quote, Denver guy lives there with a charming wife. And now they have a business of helping tours, but he also writes for Denver things. So after much ado and disappointment that I didn't meet him there, uh, welcome, Tony White. Nice to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah, this is exciting for me. This is awesome.
I'm
Thanks for.
very jealous. I just adored Oaxaca. I don't know when I've had a better time. I live for food. The food was incredible. I'm an art fan. So, all right,
It's
tell me about Tony.
a place to love.
Yeah, tell me how you got started and you went from Denver down there and all that good stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in Wyoming, in Casper, and spent a lot of time coming between there and Denver. I had family down here for a long time, and eventually moved here about 15 years ago to Denver. Got set up, went to journalism school at Metro State, and after graduation, worked at a newspaper for a while. And I was very happy to say I've worked for Patty at Westward for about 10 years as a freelance food writer. It was always a passion of mine to do that work, especially at that publication too. So very involved with that. And during that time of working restaurants and being a journalist, that's kind of what I did for quite a while. And at one point, I was working full time at a newspaper for about a year or so, and but that was up in Weld County. So driving up there 45 minutes an hour each day kind of got to be a little hard after a while. And so I started looking at some options back in Denver. Uh, um, and I saw one weekend that Brian Rossi, this famed restaurateur who is famous for really focusing on agave spirits, having a lot of passion for that culture, that community. Um, he was one of the co-founders behind Adelitas. And he opened up this little focused mezcal Oaxacan food concept called Palenque. And I went in there on a Saturday and checked it out. This was in 2017.
So
Uh,
was this when Palenque was behind Adelita's or the Palenque?
exactly. Yep.
Okay.
The original location right there on Louisiana and Broadway. And went in there on a Saturday and checked it out and was completely in love with the mezcal and the energy behind the place. And I came back on a Monday with a resume, and I knew the GM, Marisa. I said, "Here's my resume. When do I start?" Because Marisa and I had actually worked together years ago at Mezcal, the concept on Colfax, and so we knew each other. And I started working there, and was freelancing as a food writer for Patty still, and had intentions on getting back in the journalism industry, and thought I'd work at Palenque on nights and weekends. And you know, 7 years later, I'm still very well connected with Maurice and Brian, and now I live in Oaxaca. But the what really happened that connected those two dots was after about a year of helping basically run Palenque. I was there 5, 6 days a week. Really loved it.
I must have known you then because I
I
remember.
think so. Yeah. I mean, I was happily ensconced inside that building for about 2.5 years and learning about Mezcal and sharing it with everyone that came in. And Brian was such a great guy. He's like, you need to get down to Oaxaca and see where all this Mezcal stuff comes from. And I told him, I said, yeah, I'd like to, but my boss is a real jerk. He keeps me working here all the time. But no, he said, seriously, I'd like to send you down to Oaxaca. I have a plane ticket for you and an apartment and a job at this Mezcal bar. And the whole idea is I would work at night in the Mezcal bar, and during the day we'd go out and visit the palenques and the agave fields and see, you know, visit with the mezcaleros and let them show me their world, and I could immerse myself in it for a whole month and then bring all that knowledge back to Denver and share it with the staff and the clients. It was similar to, going to France or Italy for wine, or spending a month in Japan for, a concept on that level. So it was just like an immersive experience to enlighten myself and kind of level up our brand at Palenque. And so I spent a month here in February of 2018 and fell in love with it, and came back a few months later with my journalism mind kind of spinning because I'd met some great people down here that I wanted to maybe do some stories about. So I came back, for about 3 weeks on my own dime and had all these plans to do this work. And the first week I was here, I was introduced to this woman named Carmen and instantly fell in love. And all my work plans went out the window. And I spent a month falling in love with her. And
Oh,
uh, now I moved here New Year's Eve 2019, and I've been here ever since, more or less. And
oh, what a nice story. And
it's
therefore, you got the
serendipitous.
business.
Yeah, I didn't expect it happening, but sometimes life, especially in the restaurant industry, can present you with opportunities that you might not expect. And if you have the freedom and ability to accept them, which I luckily did, I was able to, take a really cool job at a really cool mezcal bar, and it turned into a life-changing experience. And I owe Brian and Rossi and all the people along the way a big debt of gratitude. But
Yeah. In public, he's one of the neatest people you've ever met or I've ever met.
definitely.
Wonderful. Who lives in Mexico now with his wife and kids.
Yeah, yeah, and I've lived here since 2019, and I go back like we're talking about. I love Denver. I love the food scene. I love the restaurant industry. I grew up in it. It's a global community, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. But even living in Oaxaca, I still am very connected to what's happening in Denver in the service
Okay.
industry, and
Okay,
happy
well,
to.
first briefly tell us about tourism and then or your tour, and then we'll talk about food, Oaxaca, and Denver. We can sort of have some fun.
Sure. So when I moved here, pretty much right at the beginning of 2020, I was just happy to be here. I've loved this place as a food lover and a traveler. Oaxaca is an unbelievable destination. It's one of the best food cities in the world. It's obviously the homeland of a lot of mezcal that's produced in Mexico. So I was just really happy to be here. And a lot of people I knew, um, in the restaurant community, whether in Denver or across the country, knew that I'd moved here. So people were coming to Oaxaca and calling me, say, "Hey man, I know you got a car down there. You think you could take us out and visit a palenque or show us around town?" And it started out very casual, very informal, just people knowing that I had connections and kind of knew my way around the city. And then during COVID, those long months sitting at home here in Oaxaca, my wife and I said, if we get through this, we really should turn this casual thing to something really official, really formal, make it a better experience for everybody. And so we had a website designed by my friend Stefan, who I worked on the Sons of Mezcal film with. He's an amazing director and photographer from Denver, and he helped us get a really good website going. And when the clouds lifted after COVID, people started coming down, and we started getting recommendations from people. Susan Koss, who's the founder of Mezcalistas. It's a very influential news platform and info website in the mezcal industry. She was very nice and put us on one of her top 10 tour guides of Oaxaca list. And that gave us a really big boost, a lot of exposure, and people started seeing what we're doing. And this tour business has just started from the ground up, a small little project that my wife and I started, and we just have a ton of passion for it. We call it a, culturally immersive tour company. And we just take very small groups out and visit different parts of Oaxacan culture, whether it's mezcal or art or textiles, a lot of food. We just really want to share the heart of Oaxaca in the
So
way
you
that we
came
know
there
it should be.
to watch people doing the wood art and the rugs and all of that in markets and all.
Mhm.
Okay, what
Yeah, so there's
name?
mhm.
You must have a name.
the name the name for our business is called Almas Viejas, which in Spanish means old souls. It alludes to the connection that Carmen has with her grandmother and the connection that I had with my grandfather and our appreciation for the traditional culture. So we called it Old Souls. But in Spanish, it sounds a little It's a little prettier. It's called Almas Viejas.
You'll have to spell that.
It's Almas
Oh, that's how I wrote it. Yeah.
Viejas.
That's not how I would have written it. Okay. And they
And
can
then the
get
last part is oax.com, and that's the website. Mhm.
at x.com.
Oax.com. So Almas Viejas Oax.com.
No at.
The website is just almasviejasoax.com. And then on the website, there's a contact page and all the info and all that good stuff. Great photos from Stefan. Yep.
Oh, it sounds, I mean, I did not know. And you really do need somebody to drive you around. But the town, Oaxaca, is a walking place. I mean, I certainly
Definitely.
need a car there.
No,
And
the historic centro, I mean, it's very walkable. It's about the size of Capitol Hill, and it's all cobblestone and 300 years old and sprinkled with Michelin restaurants and
your
food trucks.
restaurants were
Mhm.
incredible.
Yeah, it's an incredible food town. It really is in many different, spectrums. The street food, all the way up to the Michelin level restaurants and everything in between. That you can't have a bad meal here.
All right, before we got on, I told you about my favorite thing. You tell the people because I don't do it as well.
um, so we're talking about the Sunday market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so there's a great network of markets kind of around Oaxaca. It's a cool concept. Every town in the area has a specific day for its market. And one of those towns is called Tlacalula, and they have a Sunday market, which is one of the oldest continuously operating markets in all of Mesoamerica. It's over 1,000 years old in its long, unbroken lineage. Um, and every Sunday, I don't know how many thousands of people kind of converge on this town. It's great. Yeah. Everyone from visitors to, families that have been going there for generations to buy, sell, trade. It's an amazing place to go on Sunday. And one of their famous things that they do there, besides shutting down the center of town, and they run tarps over the main thoroughfare for about 7 or 8 blocks, and it just seems like this endless tunnel of human activity. It's really cool. It culminates in the center of town at the food market building, and inside the food market building is all this other activity, and there's one hallway that's packed with barbacoa vendors, and it's hot, loud, steamy, just packed with people. And it's absolutely one of the very best things you can do while in Oaxaca, and it only happens on Sunday. And so that's an exciting, one of the few of many awesome food experiences.
What's
I've
the dish? Because that's the best dish I ever ate. I mean,
It's amazing, in Oaxaca,
and all
it's
the
very famous.
food.
Yeah, I mean, you can have these white tablecloth, phenomenal Michelin, literally Michelin level restaurant dinner experiences. But then also another major integral part of it is the street food and the food, that the home style food, and that's equally as good. And all the chefs downtown with their really high end restaurants, they're all inspired by street food and market food and their grandma's food. It's the same thing, chefs around the world. We all
What I
just
found fascinating, and still didn't tell the name of my dish, but the food in the Michelin restaurants. My
Mhm.
two favorites were Casa Oaxaca and that
Yeah.
dosa. But both of them, they're not expensive like Denver.
No, I mean, we do live in a slightly different, economic structure down here.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not gonna find $20 cocktails in Oaxaca. You're gonna find cocktails that are just as good or better in Oaxaca than anything you can find in Denver. But we like to say it is definitely more affordable here if you're comparing it to American dollars. We don't say cheap by any means, but the vernacular with our business, and it's just a sliding scale. You go to New York City, and you get a $26 Negroni. someone from Denver's gonna be like, damn, that's expensive. And someone from Manhattan's like, well, it's like not that bad.
Right.
You know?
Okay. You do the tours and you can pick the restaurants and do everything. But
Mhm.
now you come back to Denver, and just so people know, you are still writing in Denver and you're in touch with lots, I assume American, but Latino restaurants too.
Very much. I've been very happy to say that Patty at 5280 has been a huge supporter of mine and has let me write and create videos for her for 10 years. And I've written for 5280 as well. I just had a story coming out, that just came out, about the collaboration between Johnny and Erasmo. They're doing this monthly pop-up called Our Mexico, which is a collaboration between Johnny behind the Alma Fonda Fina concepts and
It's
Erasmo over at
Johnny
Chiquita.
Curiel, he's saying, yeah.
Mhm. So these guys have gotten together and decided to do this really amazing regional pop-up series that focuses on a different part of Mexico each month. And they bring in a local chef to help be like a region-specific expert. So last month in July, they just did one based on Oaxaca, and they brought in Ruben, who's a good friend of mine who runs the um, Reina del Sur. He has a food truck, and he also does the barbacoa cookout every Sunday at Revision, the Latino Community Center in Westwood, on Morrison Road. That's an amazing thing. So uh, Jose over at La Diabla has a lot of new concepts coming online. I wrote about all these guys in one big article for Patty at Westward in November, about how some of these restaurateurs, well, these guys specifically, along with Dos Caras, who have a Molino Masa business, how these Latino chefs and culinary figures are putting masa next to nixtamalized techniques and heirloom corn at the center of their very phenomenal menus. So yeah, I've basically happily been supported by the local media industry, the independent, outlets, and focused heavily on the Latino Mexican culinary community. I'm very happy to be
Right.
connected with that.
I mean,
Um,
just because the chefs that you're speaking of, they're wonderful to the community here. They're doing my big charities. They're great guys, but
Absolutely.
they're just down to anybody listening or watching this. They are just down to earth. I mean, Johnny Curiel could have been the first one to get an award without ever knowing he was getting it,
Hmm.
but he's
Yeah.
a great guy.
Very humble, very talented. All these guys are. And then there's, community around. I think in my experience, because that's all I can speak of, is, working at Palenque for a long time and having a strong affinity for Mexican culture and the food. There's other concepts in the Front Range area. I know Jose and Lauren, that they have Santos up in Boulder.
Oh,
There's
are you?
Palenque.
I saw him 2 nights ago for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a community within the restaurant industry it's tight, and then everyone in this restaurant industry has a connection, and then I like the idea of this little community of people focused on Latino food or Mexican food specifically. It's just been a great community for me, and been very welcomed and very
I can
proud to be a part.
I can hardly wait till you come back to visit us. And
Yeah,
I'm coming next time you put a tour together. I want to go again.
yeah,
And
we
I'm
love people.
okay. If you could get me a copy of that article, I would
Hmm.
give Westward credit and put it up for all the people who are watching the show to watch, to get to see it on my Facebook page as well.
Yeah, I'll share links with you to our website and a few of the articles I've written about the Denver Mexican food scene that I've been reporting on, and maybe even a link to the Sons of Mezcal film, which I worked on, which is a beautiful documentary that I worked on with a local videographer named Stefan Work. And we produced that in 2021. We had the premiere in Denver. I worked with him on the project after he had done the shooting in Oaxaca, but the coincidental part is I met him in Oaxaca when I was working there for that 1 month. he was down there shooting the video or shooting the film for the documentary, and I just happened to meet him there, and it was just a bizarre coincidence, and we ended up working in post-production on crafting the story together, and I'm super proud to be part of that project as well.
Well, your homework, as soon as we get off the air, is to send me those links so we can see them here.
Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Give your information again.
Sure. You can find us on Instagram. It's Almas Viejas. You can Google that. It'll pop up Almas Viejas Tours Oaxaca. If you Google search that. But if you wanted to find us online, our website is almasviejasoax.com. And I'm sure we'll put those links in the video here after we post it. But we're very excited to share Oaxaca. We like to advocate for the traveler. They deserve a good experience when they come here. They don't need to get sucked into the myriad of tourist traps that are in, destinations like this. But we also like to advocate for the locals. We feel like that the mezcaleros and the chefs and the Oaxacan people deserve to be represented in their own words and in a very clear way. So we just like to be conduits between the people that really want to connect with the culture and the people that we know that represent it. And we're just kind of the middleman, and we're happy to do that. We have a lot of passion for that.
And I must say, the people were incredible to us. I mean,
It's
walking
some of the nicest people I've ever met. I've lived here almost 6 years happily, and I come back to Denver a lot, but Mexico is a beautiful country full of amazing people. And um, I'm very, very thankful to be a part of the community. I've been welcomed,
oh yeah,
you know, immense hospitality. So
no,
it's a
and everybody watching. Oh well, Oaxaca's. I just adore it. But please like and subscribe to the Gabb, GABB / Gabby on YouTube, on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Gabby Gourmet. It's also complicated. It makes me crazy. In the meantime, I can hardly wait to meet you in person, Tony, and I hope to see you in Denver, but I'd love to see you in Oaxaca.
well, let's do both. I'll see you here and I'll see you there. And bring
Okay.
some friends.
And send my love to Carmen too. And have a wonderful day down there. And I'll say to hi to everybody you've named all the names I know and love too.
That sounds good. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. Appreciate it.
You too. Much love. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye
See you
bye.
later. Bye.
Yes. Bye.